What is up, guys? Randomonium here, and today we're going to be talking about Enchanters. This video is a follow-up to my How to Find Your Ideal Playstyle class and subclass video, so if you haven't watched that one yet, I highly recommend it. In this video, we'll be covering JANNA, Karma, LULU, NAMI, SONA, SORAKA, and Taric. Bard will be covered in the Catchers video, and Zillion will be covered in the Unique Playstyles video. Also, I want to give a very special thank you to all of the Enchanter mains who helped me with this video. I've left a link to their subreddits in the video description below. If you're a really lazy player and you're looking for your team to carry you, then Enchanters are the class for you. Enchanters are also great for people who like to multitask while playing ranked games by talking with their boyfriend or girlfriend on the phone, or playing another game on their phone, or if you're trying to catch up on some Game of Thrones episodes while you're playing League. In case it's not 100% obvious, I'm joking. Enchanters routinely get flack because their champions are quote-unquote easy to play. And while it's true that the skill floor for Enchanters is relatively low, it's very obvious when you run across a great Enchanter main. I've seen Enchanters solo carry games by baiting enemies into bad fights and keeping their allies alive for impossibly long periods of time. The reason why people don't give Enchanters the credit they are due is because Enchanters carry the game by empowering their allies and keeping them alive, not by getting lots of kills or dealing lots of damage. And if you don't trust my opinion on the power of Enchanters, just look at their dominance in professional play over the years. Every single Enchanter has seen time in the professional scene, with some Enchanters being meta for years, which is just something that only a few other classes can boast. Playing an Enchanter in solo queue is typically very thankless, because Enchanters are typically played support, and they're expected to impact the game with less gold than any other player in the game. So I'm sure a lot of you are asking, why would I ever want to play an Enchanter if people are just going to treat me poorly? The truth is that some people are going to treat you poorly regardless what class you play. Some people are just assholes. Play what you love, and if they don't like it, they can go screw themselves. The reason why so many people love to play Enchanters is that there are few things more gratifying in League of Legends than saving an ally from certain death. That is what Enchanters are known for, saving their allies from situations that no other class can. Enchanters are known for having the best utility in the game. By utility, I mean shields, heals, or other buffs to help their allies. Enchanters also have high crowd control that allows them to be extremely good at disengaging fights. However, Enchanters do have some of the lowest damage in the game. In essence, Enchanters are designed to carry their team by enabling their allies. Enchanters can help their team in 3 different ways: utility, crowd control, and sometimes even damage. The kings, or rather queens of utility, are JANNA and SORAKA. However, JANNA and SORAKA also have some of the lowest damage of any champions in the game. Taric has slightly less utility, but he also has more damage and an immense amount of tankiness when compared to other Enchanters. NAMI is a decent blend of utility and crowd control, but she doesn't have a lot of damage in her kit as well. LULU is kind of the jack of all trades of Enchanters, able to deal decent damage while also having decent utility and crowd control. SONA is also a very versatile Enchanter who can be built more for damage or be built more for utility while having very potent crowd control from her ultimate. Karma has some of the highest damage of Enchanters while also having very good utility, but she has less crowd control than many other Enchanters. All Enchanters are commonly played as support. However, some Enchanters like Karma and LULU are occasionally played in mid lane with certain team compositions.
The Tempest is at your command.
JANNA, the Storm's Fury. JANNA is the queen of shielding and disengage. She is the bane of most assassins, divers, and vanguards thanks to the massive shield she can give allies, the AoE heal and knockback on her ultimate, and the AoE knockup on her Q. Anytime one of these champions tries to engage on her team, JANNA is able to completely shut them down and say,
You didn't say the magic word.
Please! God damn it! Hate this hacker crap!
JANNA is an extremely passive and reactive champion, and that is where most new JANNA players make their mistakes. Bad JANNA players use her Q and her W for poke damage. Your Q and your W are not for poke damage. If you want to play a poking champion, then don't play JANNA. JANNA's Q is best used to stop the engage of champions, especially if you're being ganked. Great JANNA players can shut down pretty much any gank in the game with a well-timed Q because you can cancel enemy gap closers. Most often, the only time you should be using your Q offensively is if you're trying to fast push the lane, or if your jungler is ganking and you're trying to chain CC together. JANNA's E is her bread and butter, and another ability that JANNA players frequently mess up. JANNA's E is the most powerful shield in the game. When you're playing JANNA, you need to predict when the enemy is going to trade with your AD carry and shield them before the damage hits. Bad JANNA players will shield their AD carry after the trade is complete, which is completely useless. Occasionally, it can be favorable to shield towards the end of the trade rather than the beginning because JANNA's shield also provides AD as long as it holds, and that AD can turn a trade in your advantage. Great JANNA players shield at the optimal time to maximize use of the bonus AD and also negate the maximum amount of damage possible. JANNA's W is another ability that you need to use at the proper time. While not on cooldown, JANNA's W provides a decent move speed boost to her team that synergizes well with her passive. JANNA can trade this allied movement speed boost for a 3-second slow that's about 2.5 times greater than the movement speed boost she gets passively. So by using her W, you're effectively slowing your team for a small percentage in exchange for a larger 3-second slow on a single enemy. That is the trade-off you have to consider when using JANNA's W. JANNA's R is another ability that people frequently misuse. The easiest way to think of JANNA's R is a reset button. Anytime you feel like the fight is going against your team, you can press R and effectively say, "Everyone stop dealing damage." This can be very good or very bad for your team. Bad JANNA players don't look at the entire team fight and aren't in the proper position before pressing their ultimate. If an enemy is low when you press R, you can knock them to safety and deny your team a kill. If you aren't in the proper position, then you can knock a dangerous enemy closer to your carries rather than away. Proper use of JANNA's ultimate prevents the enemy from killing your team while not cock-blocking any of your allies. Great JANNA players can also do awesome stuff like pin enemies into walls, heal allies over walls, and perform flash R insect type plays to separate enemy teams. Another interaction that Master JANNA players abuse is that enemies who are currently knocked up by your Q are not knocked back by your R. This can allow you to isolate certain high priority targets from their team so that your team can burst them down. If you're a more passive player who likes to react to counter an enemy engage rather than start a fight yourself, then JANNA is a great option for you.
An ideal is nothing until you fight for it.
Karma, the Enlightened One. Karma is the enchanter closest to being a burst or battle mage. She has a ton more damage than other enchanters, but also has significantly more utility than other mages. The disadvantage of Karma is she gives up some crowd control to have all of this damage and utility. Her only form of hard crowd control is her W, which requires her to stay in range of a champion for 2 seconds. Karma has a pretty oppressive laning phase, because she has access to her ultimate at level 1. Karma's ultimate can empower her abilities, and an empowered Q at early levels is extremely painful. Karma also has a potent shield on her E, which also grants a movement speed buff, and she can empower her E to grant a shield and speed up all allies within range. The difference between a good and a bad Karma player is proper use of your mantra. Bad players will miss their mantra Qs or use their mantra on the wrong spell given the situation. For example, using your mantra Q for extra damage in a team fight when they should be using mantra E to keep their allies alive. Great Karma players know their abilities inside and out and how to make the maximum use of each of those abilities. Great Karma players know how much damage they can do at any point in the game, and they can use that knowledge to surprise enemies with their combo or bait enemies into bad fights. Great Karma players will often use the splash radius on their Q to hit unsuspecting enemies, targeting minions so that they can hit enemies who think that they're safe standing behind the minion. Pick Karma if you want more utility than you can get from other mage supports, but you don't want to completely give up on damage like you have to do with some other enchanters.
Yup, that tasted purple.
LULU, the Fey Sorceress. LULU is one of the most versatile enchanters in the game because her W and E have different effects depending on whether she casts them on an ally or on an enemy. LULU can be played more aggressively with Thunderlords and more AP items, but it's much more common to play her with Wind Speakers and supportive items, which is what I've shown on the screen. Good LULUs know how to combo their EQ to maximize the damage and range of their Q. Great LULUs know when they can use their W to buff their allies and when they need to save it for an enemy. LULU's W is an amazing attack speed steroid on allies, but it's also an extremely valuable form of CC to deal with high burst champions like assassins. Because it has such a long cooldown, proper use of her W is absolutely essential when playing LULU. LULU's ultimate can also completely turn a lost team fight into a win. Many champions rely on deleting carries or dealing so much damage that they force them out of the fight, basically turning the fight into a 4v5 for their team. LULU's ultimate, when used properly, prevents this from happening. It's a great way to disrupt assassins and divers and give your allies a chance to reposition or crowd control the enemy, in addition to giving your allies enough health to survive most burst. LULU is a great enchanter to try out if you're new to the enchanter class, because of her great balance between utility, crowd control, and damage. In addition, the versatility of her abilities also gives LULU a surprisingly high skill cap, which keeps players playing her for thousands of games.
Welcome to the deep end.
NAMI, the Tidecaller. NAMI is a very well balanced enchanter who has been described as a more aggressive JANNA or SORAKA. You can play her defensively like JANNA or SORAKA using her abilities to heal and disengage, or you can play her more offensively using her slow, AoE stun, and AoE knockup to force a fight. In laning phase, NAMI has potent poke and sustain from her W and E, and decent catch potential with her Q if an enemy overextends. NAMI really shines when she gets some cooldown reduction in team fights, which allows her to go through multiple rotations of spells to maximize the time both she and her allies can stay alive. The difference between good and bad NAMIs is proper managing of your mana and your cooldowns. It can be tempting to constantly throw out Qs and Ws whenever they are off cooldown, but this will ultimately wind up in hurting your team because you won't have those spells available when you really need them, and you won't have the mana in order to cast them. The difference between good and great NAMIs is proper use of your Q and your ultimate. A great NAMI can completely turn the tide of a team fight with a great Q and a properly timed ultimate. People strongly underestimate the bonus movement speed that NAMI can provide her team and the impact of her crowd control. NAMI can give up to 120 bonus movement speed to her allies when they are touched by her abilities, and if she lands her full combo, she can hard CC multiple enemies for 2 seconds and then slow them for up to an additional 7 seconds, all while giving her allies bonus movement speed and healing them. That kind of depth is what makes her an extremely useful enchanter. NAMI's strength is her versatility. Just like water takes on the shape of any container it's placed in, NAMI adapts to match whatever a player's playstyle is.
Shall we resolve this dissonance?
SONA, Maven of the Strings. SONA is one of the higher damaging enchanters in the game, but she also has decent utility and crowd control. In exchange for all this versatility, SONA has some of the lowest base stats in the game, and can be killed extremely easily if she's caught out of position. What makes SONA extremely unique is she's the only champion in the game who can break the cooldown reduction cap. In the late game, SONA can have over 60% cooldown reduction, which allows her to spam through her spell rotation extremely quickly. Her high cooldown reduction combined with relatively low cooldowns makes SONA feel like a champion where you just hit all the buttons as fast as you can. However, this is what really separates good from bad SONA players. Bad SONA players will just spam their spells. Good SONA players will use their spells in specific orders in order to empower the most optimal spell for the given situation with her power chord. Need more damage? Power chord her Q. Want a mini exhaust? Power chord her W. Need some extra CC for peel or chasing? Power chord her E. Bad SONA players also undervalue SONA's auras. Good SONA players maximize the allies tagged by each of her auras to maximize SONA's utility. SONA's high damage and high utility also gives her a ton of versatility when it comes to build paths. If you get fed early, you can pick up things like a Lichbane or go for more AP items to deal a scary amount of damage. If your allies are more fed, then you can be more supportive and pick up items like Athene's, Redemption, or Ardent Censer to boost her healing and utility levels to that of JANNA or SORAKA. Choosing the right build for each game is one of the things that defines the difference between good and great SONAs. Another thing that really differentiates great SONAs is their positioning. Like I said earlier, SONA has some of the lowest base stats in the game, but also some of the highest versatility in the game. The only way you can stay alive long enough to make use of that versatility is proper positioning. SONA is a great enchanter for players who want to bring a ton of utility to her team, while still having the option to deal a ton of damage in the right scenario.
Yes, that was a banana. No one expects the banana.
SORAKA, the STARCHILD. SORAKA is the healing champion in League of Legends. If you're coming from another MOBA or another RPG and you enjoy healers, then SORAKA is the best exemplification of a healer in League. She can heal herself with her Q, she can heal her allies with her W, and she also has a global heal on her R. SORAKA is one of the most tilt-inducing champions in League of Legends because she is so good at keeping her allies alive. Nothing is more frustrating than blowing your entire combo on a squishy carry and them not freaking dying because they have a SORAKA who can effectively double their health pool with her heals. SORAKA's healing is so effective that teams will frequently focus the SORAKA first before they focus any other carry. This understanding is what separates a good SORAKA from a bad one. Bad SORAKAs will stand right next to their carry or even in front of their carry and make themselves easy pickings for high engaged champions. Good SORAKAs will position themselves so it's near impossible for the enemy team to reach them without taking massive damage from her team. This is the psychological warfare that SORAKA brings to the game. If you don't focus SORAKA, then she will continuously heal her team and make it near impossible for you to kill any of them. If you do focus the SORAKA, then you will often have to blow ultimates or even summoner spells to reach her and kill her, which means that you won't have those key abilities for the rest of the fight. Great SORAKAs take this psychological warfare to a whole new level with proper use of her Q and E. Proper use of her Q and E allows SORAKA to slow pursuers, silence them, and even root them if they stay in her E for long enough, all while healing herself and spamming laugh as the rest of her team tears them apart. This of course is all dependent on you properly positioning in fight, which very few people can actually do properly. Denying vision makes it very easy to flank a SORAKA, and once flanked, it's extremely easy to kill SORAKA since she is so squishy and she deals pretty much no damage. If you're looking to be the healer who can make her allies seem invincible with proper positioning, then SORAKA is the champion for you.
Gems are truly, truly, truly outrageous.
Taric, the Shield of Valoran. Taric is the tankiest of the enchanters and is considered to be a hybrid warden. He is also arguably the best team fighting enchanter in the game thanks to the massive amounts of utility and crowd control he provides. Taric is great against melee supports but struggles a lot against ranged supports in the laning phase. The difference between a good Taric and a bad Taric is proper mana management and maximizing your passive. Bravado is an extremely underutilized but extremely powerful passive, reducing the cooldown of all your spells and granting you a charge of your heal with each strike. Proper use of Bravado allows you to always have max charges of Starlight's Touch, and all of your abilities available when a fight breaks out. Once you get into the late game, weaving Bravado between each of your spells allows you to pretty much always have a heal, a shield, or a stun available, making you an absolute monster in team fights. What separates good Tarics from great ones is consistently landing your stun and proper use of your ultimate. Taric's stun is his only consistent way of starting a fight or disengaging from a bad one. Miss your stun, especially in the early game, and it's extremely easy to punish Taric. What really defines Taric, though, is his ultimate. This ability can provide team-wide invulnerability for 2.5 seconds, allowing you to outrageously turn a lost team fight into a winning one. However, if you activate your ultimate too soon, then the enemy can simply just walk away. And if you activate your ultimate too late, then your allies will die before the invulnerability is activated. Thus, Taric's ultimate is one of the most powerful abilities in the game in the right hands, and completely useless in the wrong hands. Pick Taric if you're looking for an enchanter who has immense teamfight utility, but isn't afraid to wade into the middle of a battle and show everyone how big his gems are. So which of these enchanters is your favorite? Also, what kind of enchanters do you think Riot should develop in the future? Once again, if you have any questions on any of these enchanters, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer it or point you in the right direction. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know which subclass you want me to do next. And of course, if you've made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all of my videos. I hope you all have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium, signing off.